the sun rises on Canaveral National Seashore, and our story begins. Canaveral, the story of a seashore. Located on Central Florida's east coast, the park is nestled between Space City, USA in Titusville and the town of New Smyrna Beach. The story of a seashore is an evolving one. Without human presence, the barrier island that is Canaveral National Seashore is continually changing shape. Chapters are edited, scenes are added and deleted by time. Sandbars move, dunes lose ground in one place only to gain it in another. While the landscape of this skinny slip of land may change drastically, many of the characters in our tale have remained unaltered for millions of years. With the vast Atlantic Ocean to the east and the Indian River Lagoon to the west, Canaveral's tale is one of abundance and diversity. Our cast of characters includes 14 endangered or threatened species and a great variety of plant and animal life. Nearby, however, development has overtaken many of the wild places that were once so thrilling, and open space is fast disappearing. In contrast, stakes in the sand at Canaveral mark the nests of giant sea turtles, one of the many characters in our tale that have remained untouched by time. Each summer, 4,000 sea turtles lumber ashore to lay their eggs and claim the vast stretch of pristine beach as their nursery. They are the threatened loggerheads and endangered leatherbacks and green sea turtles. These ancient reptiles, driven only by instinct, find the shore of their birth and set about ensuring that their species will continue. After some 50 to 60 days, the turtle hatchlings emerge from their nests and make their way to the sea, with only the brightness of the horizon over the waves to guide them. The turtles leave their tracks in the sand by night, but by day, on the other side of the barrier island, Canaveral is entirely different. Here, Mosquito Lagoon comprises 2/3 of the park, a brackish estuary that is home to the West Indian manatee, one of Florida's best-known endangered species and one of the world's most adored creatures. The manatee lives a slow-paced life, grazing on seagrass beds in the lagoon, slowly moving through the shallows, needing protection only from the damaging propellers of motorboats. Unlike the manatee, the Atlantic bottlenose dolphin has an exuberant personality, delighting everyone with his playful ways. The lagoon provides food and a safe, healthy environment for dolphin and manatee alike. In the sky and along the shores, Mosquito Lagoon literally takes wing. The amazing bird populations within the seashore are a chapter in themselves. Thousands of migrating ducks, white pelicans, and songbirds use Canaveral and Merritt Island Wildlife Refuge as a flyway and winter home. Spectacular roseate spoonbills, once hunted almost to extinction, have returned to utilize the park. Whether feeding or displaying their weird and wonderful behavior, they put on a colorful show. wood storks have returned once again and live in neighborly harmony in the lagoon. Ibis, dressed in their snowy feathers, have suffered from loss of habitat and continue as a species of special concern. But here, they're not concerned at all. The youngsters, in their darker plumage, will also wear coats of white as adults. As with other visitors, white pelicans may travel great distances to their winter home in the park, sometimes from freshwater lakes in the far west. They're assured of a warm reception and a hearty banquet on arrival. Their cousins, the year-round brown pelicans, waste no time in showing area fishermen just how it's done. Deeper in the salt marsh, bird watchers can observe the feathered residents up close. The seashore is a place for you to bring your binoculars, your bird book, and your life list, for you will surely add to it. And a tour on the park's pontoon boat may put you up close for an aerial show of an osprey diving for lunch. Visitors should be wary lest they become lunch for some of the hungrier residents. Scrub jays with their pleasant personalities are a delight to visitors. In the park, prescribed burning helps afford them an ideal environment in which to thrive. Sadly, they are disappearing in many areas. In fact, the park provides habitat for 330 species of birds, 117 species of fish, and 68 species of amphibians and reptiles. Fishing in the lagoon is a favorite pastime year-round and is only limited by how much relaxation you can stand and what Florida state law allows. In the clean, shallow waters, marine life flourishes. Redfish, trout, and mullet live and spawn in the lagoon along with numerous other saltwater species. The rich waters also provide a valuable economic resource. Because the park is undeveloped, oyster bars and clam beds flourish, relatively unaffected by pollution. On the lagoon, campers can enjoy a serene, primitive outdoor experience in the park's designated backcountry islands. These mangrove stands, which thrive in tidal zones, provide habitat for shrimp, crabs, and juvenile fish, a sheltered place where they can flourish and grow. Whether you like to pack a lunch and spend the day on the water, wet your line and fish from a pier, or stand in the surf and try your luck, Canaveral offers some of the best fishing in an uncrowded, scenic environment. Solitude, beauty, the sweep of clouds and water. Continue the Canaveral story. There are many archaeological sites located within Canaveral National Seashore. This one, called Turtle Mound, is a 40-foot-high shell midden that is accessible to visitors. It is now covered with vegetation and protected by a wooden boardwalk. It dates back to the time of Florida's long-ago Timucuan Indians. Florida's first Paleo Indians are believed to have arrived 8,000 years ago. And for some 2,000 years, the Timucuans inhabited northeast Florida during the cool winter months. Their history can be read in these clam and oyster shell middens, which are preserved in the park. For 2,500 years, the Timucuans piled these shells from the many feasts they held here, creating these great historical records. With abundant fish, game, and shellfish, the Timucuans thrived until the coming of the Spanish in 1513, and later the French. These drawings are by French artist Jacques Lemoyne. Though they left scant traces of themselves, the Europeans, in their quest for fame and riches, would later write their own chapters. Looking back, we can imagine that the peaceful ocean sounds we enjoy today were the same sounds that lulled Timucuan babies to sleep in their thatched huts so long ago. And as we flip the pages even further ahead, Canaveral's more modern history unfolds. A chapter that includes the establishment of a small riverfront town called Eldora. The settlers came with dreams and their life savings and numbered 100 or so in the late 1800s. They farmed, raised indigo, harvested saw palmetto berries, and established a grove that would mark the beginning of the Indian River citrus industry. Freezing weather eventually took the groves and devastated this early Florida riverfront community. As times changed and land use evolved from farms to winter resort homes, another chapter was written in Canaveral's saga. The only home remaining from that settlement has been preserved as a museum. Two picturesque trails lead to the house. Eldora State House, now beautifully rehabilitated. Imagine sitting on the porch back then, waiting for the boat to arrive at this stop on the water highway. Inside the house, photographs tell the story of life near the turn of the century. Trails within the park are filled with flowers and butterflies. Across the lagoon lies the fishing village of Oak Hill, and yet another tale, that of Seminole Rest. At Seminole Rest, we see how stories overlap and the way in which the lagoon attracted both ancient and modern settlers. Here, historic houses sit atop shell middens similar to those at Turtle Mound and Castle Windy. Instead of harming the land, as one might suppose, the houses actually save the middens. That's because in the early days, when Florida roads were first being built, shell middens such as these were plundered as road fill. Without the cottages, this surely would have been the end of the story of Seminole Rest. The grounds at Seminole Rest include plants indigenous to Florida, as well as transplants brought by early residents. Together, they create a colorful panorama for visitors to enjoy. While history waited to be rediscovered, plans for the future were taking shape. America's desire for a new frontier played a role in preserving what would have been a story written off to development. When NASA established Kennedy Space Center in the 1960s, the portion of land not needed for the space program was set aside in 1963 for the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge, and in 1975 for Canaveral National Seashore. The park's 24 miles of beachfront is the longest undeveloped stretch on the east coast of Florida, encompassing one of its most unique ecosystems. To add to the narrative of modern-day explorers, the park provides many recreational and educational opportunities. Active visitors may walk a trail and enjoy a unique blend of temperate and tropical plant life. Yellow, gold, and scarlet are just a few of the colors displayed by the wildflowers within our pages. Perhaps you'll scuffle along behind an armadillo as he conducts his non-stop search for food. Or follow a gopher tortoise on a leisurely stroll as he heads for home. Exploration of the natural world is ongoing through the park's varied programs. Future marine biologists use seine nets in the lagoon to identify and study the creatures in the shallows. Some learn the art of tossing a cast net, a skill known to early societies around the world. The park is yours to enjoy, actively or in quiet reflection. And it's yours to protect. In the story of the Seashore, you are the author. It's up to you to make sure the story has a happy ending, for now and for future generations. Rachel Carson once wrote, "Today, a little more land may belong to the sea. Tomorrow, a little less. Always, the edge of the sea remains an elusive and indefinable boundary. A world that keeps alive the sense of continuing creation and of the relentless drive of life."